Okay guys, so this is a short video to show you what you need if you're going to run night vision. Obviously there is the device which you'll need to purchase, but this is by far from the only purchase that you need to make, and it's really important you budget and factor in all of the other things that you need. Now firstly, on the device itself, there's a number of small changes to this. One is the Butler Creek here, which are the small hole drilled into the front, which just gives you some protection for the lens, and obviously that hole allows you to run this if you need to test it in the daylight. Obviously flicking the button opens her up, and in there I've got a 3mm thick piece of plexiglass to protect the lens from knocks, scratches, worst case getting shot out. Of course I'm talking airsoft here, not real steel. What I do here, you can get demist shields. I actually run another 3mm thick piece of plexiglass just within the eye cup, sandwiched in there. That seems to work quite well. It's definitely a bodge, but it does seem to work quite well. I've had no issues with that whatsoever. Also running a ring here, which allows me to attach a lanyard, which I'll come to in a mo, because the devices can fall out. It's very easy to release them, and if this falls and hits the ground, it's going to probably be pretty broken. Night vision does not like to be dropped. So there's a few purchases needed there, not particularly expensive. Plexiglass, eBay, Butler Creek, eBay, all in, probably the Butler Creek and both lenses, 20 quid, not expensive. But sadly, everything else is. Okay, you need to attach it to a helmet. There's two parts to that. One is the piece that attaches to the night vision, and the other is the bit which attaches from the helmet to this. This is known as a J-arm, and it's common with a PVS-14, which is what this is. It screws in to the other side of the unit here. There's got a little foot here which sits in there to keep it nice and secure. You can adjust this left or right, and then this is known as a bayonet mount, which clips into a Rhino or similar helmet mount. Now, these don't come cheap. Yes, you can get cheap ones off eBay or AliExpress, Chinese ones, and do you really want to run an expensive piece of night vision on a cheap copy of a J-arm? So you need to factor in the price for that. Actually, these can be quite hard to get hold of. If you go down the Acton Black route, which is what this is, that's great because it actually comes bundled with it. If you go down the Armorsight route, they have their own proprietary mount system that they do not come bundled with, and you're looking at another £100 to buy that. So you need to factor that into the price as well. So I think let's jump to the helmet now. Let's move these bits out of the way. I'll come back to the IR parts. So let's take a look now at the helmet. So there's a whole bunch of things to look at on here. Firstly, you need a lid. Now this is a Team Wendy. This is actually a clone, FMA clone, which I bought off of AliExpress. It was about £50–60, and you know what? It's pretty good. It's got memory foam system. It is an out-and-out copy of the Team Wendy, as you'd expect. This is a nice slope releasing memory foam, then standard padding here. Some of the coverings come up worn away, but that's to be expected with sweat. It's got the cam system, which works really well. Everyone comments that on the Team Wendy. Actually, it's pretty good on this as well. I'm sure the Team Wendy is better, but I must say I've not tried one. This is not a ballistic helmet, it's just plastic, but that's fine, I don't need that. So the helmet's got a number of things added to it. If we look at each of those. So I mentioned the component you need to attach the J-arm to the night vision. This is a Neurotis Rhino Mount, and it's multi-adjustable, forward and backwards, up and down, and you can pitch it. So if you're looking at like so the night vision can sort of change its sort of angle. It's pretty good. I would have to say the Wilcox, from what I've seen, I've not run one, is better. The actual bayonet mount within this, it does have quite a lot of play when you run it. I don't know if I'll be able to do it one-handed, but when it is in, it's quite loose. So I don't have a problem when I'm running a night vision device on this whatsoever, but when you sort of handle it, you're like, oh yeah, there's a lot of play in that. And this just flips down. It's quite stiff in this one, but if you hold it here rather than the night vision device, it comes down perfectly fine. Not had a single problem with this. It's been solid as a rock. Then have another knockoff, which is just a Wilcox Lanyard. So this is a little bungee retentions thing, and it velcros through here under the pads, where the underneath the lining. So it's pretty solid. That's going nowhere. And this attaches to that ring, which I have put on the night vision device. So should it come loose or out, and it's really easy, all you need to do is to knock this, touch this, and it will just drop. It's not going to fall to the floor. Now, you could be a bit cruder, maybe perhaps just use a bit of paracord or something similar. But I tend to favour these devices. Not expensive, off eBay, £15, something like that. This one's getting pretty warm, but it's still working. Now, you need a counterweight. This is chock block. I got this from Kit Monster in the UK. Cut it down. It's still quite large. I was running this with a Cirrus originally, which is a much longer, larger, heavier monocular to the PVS 14, but actually haven't changed it as yet. Haven't found any difference really. And finally, there's a mount for some IR, which I'll get to in a moment. That's for us, the smaller IR unit, which I'll show you in a moment. Only other change here, I sprayed it because the actual colour was a bit shiny. Again, it looked pretty close to the Team Wendy original, but I just thought it would probably be better. Now, Team Wendy, I think you're looking at just shy of £400 for one of those. They're expensive. I've not run one, so I don't know if they're better. I can only imagine they are. So that's something else to think about. You're going to need some sort of case for your night vision device to keep it safe. Now, the Actin Black come with a good quality hard case. Obviously with the foams all cut for the device and some of the accessories. That's great. Again, if you go in the armour sight route, you get a bag, a soft bag, which is pretty good, but clearly not as good as a hard case. However, I would say when you're out on the ground, you're not going to have that case with you, or you are unlikely to. So having a soft bag is a good thing. So you probably want to purchase one for a 14 so you can keep it safe in your webbing or whatever it is you are running. Finally, IR. Night vision needs IR. No matter how good, there are going to be times where you're going to need IR light. So this here is a Princeton Tech IR light. It clips onto the side of the helmet on that mount I just showed you. It comes with a whole range of mounts in the pack, so you can run it on all different types of helmets and pieces of equipment. It's bendy, so you can get it in the position you need it. This particular one has what I think are the most important settings. It has a red light and an IR light. Now this is fairly low powered, but actually under a PVS 14 with a good tube in, it's pretty bright. And if you are trying to navigate and you don't want to go really bright, this is useful. I mean, clearly using IR is always a last resort, because if there is anyone else in the area on the opposing side, then of course you're effectively giving your location away. But a very useful device to have as and when you need it. Then we get the Surefire, and this is a genuine Surefire. These are great torches, rail mounted. It's got a tail cap. You can get remote switches, you can put in your rail system. If you stick with Surefire, that does get expensive. Of course, this being genuine is not cheap either. Great thing about this, you twist it for IR, you twist the head for white light. White is bright and it's got a really good throw, and the IR is great. I generally find that I use this quite a lot. I used to run an IR laser quite a bit, I still do. They look cool, but actually in reality, as soon as you're up against people with night vision, you're really drawing attention to yourself. So I try to stick to the optic, which I'll show you in a mo along with the laser. And if I need light, a splash of IR, and this works brilliantly. It's a great device. As you can see, I've got something on the cover. This is a Butler Creek. I've taken the clear lens out, but its main purpose here, I suppose I could take this off as well, but I've not done that yet, is to run a Sacrificial Lens in here. So again, I've got another piece of plexiglass that's about 3mm thick, which is cut to size, and that is going to take any direct impacts from a BB, because of course I don't want to damage what's an expensive torch to replace, and certainly getting a replacement head would not be easy. But really valuable, really think that's a super useful thing to have. this as well. Now actually I used this a lot more when I was on the Cirrus. I felt that needed it more. The PVS-14 with the Echo tube, which is what I have here, certainly didn't need as much. Okay, so that's IR. Let's look at a couple of final parts. So sticking with the IR theme, this is a PEC box. This is an airsoft one. It is a cheap one. It's a new Pro. Had it fit years, and the thing won't die. It's got multiple holes in it where it's been shot, and I've taped them up, some under here, so I've sprayed over that. The tape here is to hold the adjustment screws, because if not, the adjustment can change. This seems to be fairly effective, although crude, at holding things in place. This has IR here, has red laser, which I never use, white light and red laser, and white light. The white light's pretty good. It's not a very long distance throw, but it's pretty wide. But the IR laser itself works well. I can zero it to the optic, and with the tape it stays in place. This has been through hell and back, and it said it just does not die, which I'm somewhat surprised about. But I don't really use the IR, because as I said, it just gives you away. If you're up against a peer adversary that is on a night vision device, then effectively you are going to give yourself a problem if you start using an IR laser. That's obviously very different if you don't. Now, one thing I should say is I'm left eye dominant, but I actually run my nods on my right eye. And I've tried running it on my dominant eye, and while that's kind of good, I really struggle with shooting. I have to use the laser. Where actually what I like to use with my right eye is the optic. This is a Vortex Crossfire, and this is a great little optic, or a red dot anyway, and on its lower setting of 1, it works brilliantly with night vision. You can't really see it through the naked eye, but it gives you a nice clear dot, not too bright, and I generally use that for overall concealment. Looking through this is fine with the night vision. Not had any issues with that, be it on the PVS-14 or on the Cirrus that I had previously. So there's quite a lot of stuff here you need to think about. If you're running cheap optics, clone optics, there is a very good chance that it's not going to work well in night vision, or you might even damage the night vision. So I think you need to make sure you've got proper NVG compatible optics, and effectively you're looking at this sort of stuff. So there's a fair amount of money's worth here that you would need to consider when you buy night vision, and you need to budget. If you're thinking how much, I mean, you could buy a clone torch. You could get away with not having this. You can get away without having a PEC box. You obviously need the helmet, you need the lanyard, you need the mount, you need the night vision device, and the J-arm minimum. So there's a fair few things to consider and to budget for. As I said, you don't have to have everything real still, certainly not for airsoft, but do make sure that you think about all these parts, because without it you're not going to be able to use the device properly. Now, you can get skull crushers. Use them. They're not great. They do exactly what they say on the tin. They crush your skull. They're not comfortable. Helmet is generally much better. Okay, hope that's of use. If you do have any questions, let me know, and I'll be glad to answer them. Cheers.